Main shaft is junk at this point.
Holy crap.
Yeah. Somebody couldn't get a sleeve off.
Oh, yeah.
Get this from San Jose Harley?
Yeah, probably.
Little rivalry there, huh? Okay.
That's what Paul's just.
All right, the thing that I want everybody to understand on this sleeve thing is if you have to use the grinder, you go on top of it, you work back and forth with the cutoff wheel, you don't actually want to touch the shaft. You take it down till it's paper thin, you'll take a punch and hit it and the sleeve will crack, and then you'll be able to pull it off with your fingers.
Can you get all the way to the end of it?
Yeah.
With a cutoff wheel?
Most of the time you can if you're
Without
careful.
getting the pulley and stuff?
Yeah. You have to be careful, but you can do it. I prefer to use the other trick that I told you about, where I loosen the nut on the end of the main shaft, I tap it through, and then I can get behind it with a tool, okay? All right. Like anything else, we got to understand how it works and how the power flows through the transmission in order to diagnose it. All right? We started in neutral. Okay? Nothing's engaged. All right? How does the power come into the transmission?
From the pulley.
On my side.
How does the power come in?
Primary.
Primary, right over to the shaft again.
Right.
Good.
Okay.
primary
It
shaft.
comes into this shaft. All right? We have nothing engaged at this point. Okay? You have what you call freewheeling gears on these transmissions, and you have locked gears. Freewheeling have the bearings. The lock gears are splines, so they're locked onto the shaft. When we go into first gear, okay, this shift fork is moving over, right? It is engaging this gear into this gear, all right? The power's coming in, right here, transmits through this gear, onto this shaft,
Back to it.
and back out to the pulley. Now, if I had this thing jumping out of gear, what would I look for?
Broken shift forks.
You won't see them.
Bent forks.
You know, I don't think I've seen broken forks. I've sure seen a lot of bent ones. I've sure seen a lot of burned ones. Usually when it's a burned fork, it's one of two things. Lubrication, or the doggone thing got bent and it's riding cockeyed in the gear itself. Now, let's say I look at it and the fork, I can't really see much going on, but I got this thing jumping out of gear. What would I look for?
You were mentioning yesterday something about the tip of it being worn, but
All right. This,
Dogs or no?
these dogs, this one looks pretty good. It's got square edges on it. Okay, everybody see that? All right, we've decided that this gear locks into this gear here. This one looks pretty good. The edges are square, aren't they?
Totally.
Okay? Chances are this one's in pretty good shape. The other thing that we check, if they're jumping out of gear, one, we want to make sure that this detent's in good shape. All right? See how this one pops right in? It doesn't hold halfway like that. It's actually free and rotates. Okay? This is the shift mechanism piece we were talking about yesterday. This has got a set of pins in this roller. As we pull it forward to go into first gear, this paw catches this pin and rotates the thing, and it can only go so far. The reason it can only go so far, and this is one of the adjustments that's really misunderstood. See this jam nut right here? The one I got my light on? This, okay, controls the amount of throw on that doggone drum. All right? The other thing that can cause these things to jump out of gear, this guy had a real heavy foot. The snap ring here and this shim. Okay? Give me a straight screwdriver, would you, Paul? And if there's any play at all, back and forth, I'm gonna have you look up the tolerance in the book. These things will jump out of gear. This is what holds a shift fork. The other thing that holds them in gear is the cut of the dog of the gears. All right? I want everybody to look down in here at this one gear, this one here. You see how that's back cut at an angle? This is something you need to understand. If you're